In 26, we're told, let x and y be numbers such that negative y is less than x, which is less than y, and which of the following must be true. So I want to first look at conditions 2 and 3 just because they look a little bit easier to evaluate than this like absolute value thing. So let's look at 2. Which of the following must be true? Does x have to be larger than 0? And might be a little bit tempting to put that since you see that it's larger than some negative y, but that isn't necessarily the case. For example, if y is equal to 2, then negative y is negative 2. And if that is the case, then x doesn't have to be a positive number. X could be like negative 1, and this relationship would still be true. So x doesn't necessarily have to be a positive number. It could be a negative number just that's larger than whatever negative y is. Another example, like if y is equal to 10, then negative y is negative 10, and x could be like any negative number bigger than negative 10, and this relationship would still hold true. So 2 doesn't have to be the case. What about 3? Does y have to be larger than 0? Let's see. So does y have to be a positive number? Well, if we imagine, I gave an example right now where y is a positive number, right? I gave you 2 and 10. Okay, so that works out fine. But what if I gave you a negative? So what if we said that y is equal to negative 5? Can that be true? Well, if we say y is negative 5, then this thing right here has to be positive 5, right? Because then you have negative 5. So this would be positive 5, and over here you'd have just negative 5. Would that make sense? No, because then this relationship would say that positive 5 is smaller than some value, which is smaller than negative 5. So you'd be basically saying that 5 is smaller than negative 5, which isn't true. So that shows that this condition does actually have to be true. Y has to be a positive number in order for this relationship to work, because as we just showed, if you plug in a negative, it just doesn't work out. So we need some positive number for y. And lastly, condition 1. Absolute value of x is less than y. Does that have to be true? Yes, it does. And the reason is that whatever y is, x has to be sort of between y and its negative counterpart, or negative y. So again, let's take the example. I think it's really easy to think about this in terms of like actual plug-in number examples. If you make y equal to 10, we established that has to be a positive number. If you make y equal to 10, then this is negative 10 and this is positive 10. Whatever x is, it can't be lower than negative 10 and it can't be larger than 10. So for example, if x is 5, that's totally fine. That fits within here. If x is negative 5, that's totally fine because the absolute value of negative 5 is 5, and that's still less than y, which we established is 10, and that fits within the range. But if the absolute value of x is larger than y, we chose y as 10. If we make x, for example, negative 12, the absolute value of negative 12 is 12. That doesn't fit this condition. So because the absolute value of x, whether it's positive or negative, has to be sort of within the range from negative 10 to positive 10, this condition has to be the case. So that's 1 and 3. So that means, let's see, C is our answer.